Everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Todd, your host, and we are actually in a maintenance room. Justin was utilizing the office and I didn't want to kick him out, so here we are. Today we are going to be comparing the tried and true most popular handgun probably in America, the Glock 19. All right, it's empty, mag is empty. All right. All the guns today are completely empty. And we're going to compare it to the MR920 Shadow Systems, which, for all intents and purposes, is a Glock 19 clone. All right. Now, both of these we utilize at work in our rental case, our training, and all that stuff. But which one's better? For a lot of first-time gun buyers, we recommend things like the Glock 19. All right, it's compact. You can conceal it. It's a good all-around gun. It's a nice workhorse. It does what it needs to do. All right, and it doesn't break the bank, which is the nice part. Now, you spend a little extra money, it's like an extra $100, and you get a Shadow Systems. Is it worth it? That's what we're here to find out. Here we go. So let's talk a little bit about Shadow Systems. It was founded in 2016 in Plano, Texas, and it's based on the Glock Gen 3 series. It's made with basically Glock internals. Everything on it just screams Glock, but better. All right. So when you buy a stock Glock, you know, it is what it is. I know people swap the sights out for night sights. They may send the slide out to be milled down, making it a little lighter, having it ported or whatever. They may add on this side, or if you're right-handed like me, on this side a gas pedal, which is just texturing, so when you put your thumb on there, you can really dig it in there and hold on to it versus using just the little lip on the frame. As you can see, on the Shadow System, it's got the gas pedal right there. And we'll talk more about the grip and the differences between the 19 and the Shadow Systems, but virtually they are identical. They are the same gun, okay? So when it comes to the differences between the 19 and that Shadow Systems, I know I said they're the same gun, and they virtually are. So I got some dimensions. The Glock 19, its overall length is 7.28 inches versus the 920 is 7.13 inches, so it's slightly smaller. The height, the Glock 19, 5 inches, all right, 5.04 to be exact, versus the Shadow Systems, 5.25. When it comes to the width, the Glock 19 is like 1.34 inches, while the MR920 is 1.25 inches thick. And then the weight, that's where you'll notice the difference. Picking up the Glock, it's 23.99, so call it 24 ounces. You can feel the weight, but when you compare it to the Shadow Systems is only 21.5 ounces. It's incredibly light compared to the Glock 19. You can feel it. Where do they save the weight? One of the things that helps is the slide. They actually take some of the material off to put in the serrations up front and some of the material in the back, again, adding those serrations. They mill down the edge so it's not a perfect 90, much like the 19. It is more, got a nice 45-degree taper to it. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in the end, it does reduce its overall weight, which is a lot nicer when you're carrying, and it also feels better when you're shooting. All right, but that is more subjective than anything. All right, both have standard 4-inch barrels. Both are striker fired, so there's no differences there. One of the differences, obviously, are going to be your sights. This comes with a night sight on the front. The sight in the back, instead of having that little box like Glocks do, it's just black. Though picking up that front sight and making it equal light, equal height is not a problem. Actually, it's a little easier because the front sight is just blazing. It's right there in your face. So you're able to pick it up rather quickly, and the sights themselves are actually a little higher than your standard Glock 19 sight, making it a little easier. Now in Connecticut, both guns are gonna only hold 10+1. However, shadow systems from the factory, obviously in Connecticut or any state where you need to be compliant, is 10+1. But if you're in a state where you don't have such laws, say like Tennessee, then your magazine is going to hold the standard 15. And that's pretty much all they offer from shadow systems, is a 10 rounder or a 15 rounder. Glocks, on the other hand, if you're in a compliant state, obviously you have a 10 rounder. And I had to write this down. You can also get in states that are free, where they don't have such laws. You can get 15 rounders, 17 round magazines, 24 round magazines, or 31 round magazines, plus one in the chamber. So you'd say, well, Glock, obviously there's more options for magazines. Yeah, the nice thing now is that's a Glock magazine. It says Glock right on it. That's the Shadow Systems magazine. All right. You can see there's no magazine in here. It's empty. This is the Glock magazine. It's empty. It fits it. All right. It's the same magazine. Except the Shadow System one is a tad bit lighter. You can feel it in the plastic when you're holding it. The Glock one feels a little more thick, a little more robust as compared to the Shadow Systems. They both work. I, in fact, for my Glock 19, have a bunch of Shadow Systems magazines. It's what we had. They had a sale on them. They were a good deal. So instead of buying name brand Glock ones, I just went with the generic ones that come with the Shadow Systems. Nothing wrong with it. They both work. They're both made for the Glock 19. All right, so outside of hardcore factual specs, how does the gun feel? All right, so when I was down here shooting, so outside of the typical standard factory specs for Shadow Systems or for Glock, let's get into how it feels in the hands. Down at the range while shooting, having the gas pedal already built into it, a nice texture grip. This model came with a flared magwell, which makes it a lot easier when reloading. The slide stop, the slide release is a lot easier to use than this one. This one from the factory, brand new, tends to be a little stiffer. Now, it's not really fair to compare it with this one right here because this is in our case and we use this one a lot. So it's pretty worn in. Just like loading the magazine, incredibly easy, versus this magazine, which is brand new from the factory, a little stiff. So it definitely needs a break-in process. And that being said, the entire Shadow Systems gun needs a break-in process. You need to put a couple of hundred rounds into it just to really break it in. Some people buy these, they go out and it's like, man, every third round, like I'm getting a stovepipe, it's jamming. Yes, the gun needs to be broken in. It takes 200 to 300 rounds to break the gun in, and after that, it absolutely runs flawlessly. Now, for us, it's not a big deal. They come in, we're instantly throwing them into the mix for private lessons, for training, all kinds of things. So breaking this in, we broke it in less than half a day. Not a big deal. But for you, if you don't have that option to come to a range and shoot 300-400 rounds, then yes, there's going to be a longer break-in process over time just because you don't have that option to really go through that many rounds. Just because it could hurt your ammunition stash, and depending on how much you paid for the ammo, it definitely will hurt your pocket. Getting back to how it feels in the hand, outside of the weight, which we talked about. the texturing on this grip, it's not bad, though if your hands are cold, definitely wet, depending on the weather, the grip here is really not that aggressive. Having gloves will help, but I know plenty of people that send these out, have all this ground down, and have it re-stippled to have a little more of an aggressive grip on it. The Shadow Systems comes with a pretty aggressive grip. It feels like sandpaper. When you're holding onto it, you can really feel it digging into your skin. That's a good thing for some people. Other people don't like it so much, so they'll just opt straight up for gloves. This one doesn't have any finger grooves on it, but it does have plenty of stippling up front for your fingers to grab hold of, so you can get a real nice purchase on that firearm. And of course, we talked about the gas pedal, so you're able to get your thumb into it and really dig into it. And of course, it's got that lower ledge, so you're able to really hold on to it and keep that muzzle down. Kind of help prevent that muzzle flip. This one, we talked about the texturing. There's nothing up here. I like to use the little ledge. Though if my hands are wet, sometimes it is hard to keep my thumb on this ledge and it tends to start slipping, which is breaking my grip, which we have to stop, reset, and try and dig it in a little more. Now, one of the things I noticed right out the gate is the mag release on this one. It's a standard Glock one. I can reach it. It's good. It seems small now as compared to the Shadow Systems, which is a lot larger and a lot more aggressive when it comes to getting my thumb on it and getting that mag out. It's pretty nice. I do prefer this, and it has a nice undercut right here on the trigger guard versus the standard Glock one. Is not bad, but it's not as aggressive as the Shadow Systems. Both break down the same way. Trigger, that's where I noticed a massive difference. So the trigger for a Glock, and we're gonna ghost that trigger, mag it out, nice and clear. A standard trigger coming from Glock, they tell you is between 5 to 7 pounds. We'll call it 6 pounds. So you get on it, obviously it's a 2-stage trigger, so you have to take it to the wall. Not bad on the brake. Reset was good. That is about 6 pounds. That's a good 6 pounds. All right, magazine out. Nothing on the Shadow Systems. All right, let's ghost the trigger. So take up, about the same. Travel, not a big deal. Sitting on the wall, a lot less. I'd say that's about 3 pounds. And that reset, oh. That reset, doing that flip and press, the reset works for you. It's more than the Glock. It is definitely forcing your finger forward in the position. And instead of going past the wall to come back to it, like I do with the Glock, this pushes me right past that wall. It clicks, it resets, and there's almost no take up on it. I'm sitting right there. I'm right on the wall. All right. Now let's get into the internals. So the Glock, standard 19, you can see the barrel, not a problem. This is another place where we're gonna save some weight. It's a normal barrel versus the Shadow Systems. All right, you can see that it's fluted, it's got a nice spiral pattern on it. That will help with dispersing of heat, and it helps save weight overall. So all these things come together to make it a slightly lighter firearm, which in the long run is good for your hip and a long day of shooting. It's going to be a little more easier to maintain and not tire out so fast. All right, so now let's answer the question. And of course, this is my opinion. You can write in the comments, hey, listen, you're full of it. Glock is way better. Okay, and we can discuss that, all right? Before I give you my final answer, I would hope that you would please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell that's off in the corner to make sure you are getting notifications when we upload new videos. All right, with all that being said, is it worth it? So this one, say, will run you $570. This one will run you about $670. So an extra $100. Is it worth it? Honestly, in the long run, with one just like this, it's if you're getting it for that price, even if it's a little more, coming with the stippling a little more aggressive, the magwell, the undercut, all the things that are just standard with your MR920, is it worth an extra $100 for something that you would spend a lot more than $100 to do to your standard factory Glock? Yeah, that's like a no-brainer. So if you're in the market for a nice compact handgun for your EDC, home defense, or just having fun at the range, I'm not going to say Glocks are bad. Glocks are great. They are a workhorse. They're used overseas by alphabet agencies and military alike. It is the most popular handgun, hands down, in the United States. But the Shadow system is definitely one to consider. If you have the choice between the Glock 19 or the MR920, and you've got the cheddar in the bank, just go with the Shadow systems. You won't be disappointed. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's hit the comments up. Let me know what you guys think. Shadow system versus Glock. What do you think is better? All right, we're not comparing apples and oranges. I mean, these are very close to apples and apples. I'm not going, hey, what's better, a high point yeet cannon or the Glock? No, this is literally a Glock clone. So what do you guys think? What would you rather spend your money on? The Shadow systems or just that standard Glock? And depending on how this video goes, maybe we'll take a look at a PSA dagger versus the Glock 19, which that is definitely a Glock clone. We don't have one in the store. It's something I have to order directly from PSA. So, you know, if this is something you guys want to hear about, hit me up in the comments, let me know, and I'll take a look at getting one. We just, we won't tell Suzanne. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a great day. Enjoy.